Alright guys, I promised you we paint the intake and the expansion tank on the Subaru, so let's get into it. Alright, so this is what we got going on. This is the intake off the Subaru, and we're going to attempt to clean this and paint this today. I'm not really too worried about too much today, except for like in here, see all these little cracks? I'm going to try to get as much of this as I can. I know some of this you're not going to see, but it's going to bother me. So I'm going to try to get as much of it as I can. It's going to be a pain, but we're going to be using these discs again. We're going to stay with blue because it's all aluminum. I don't want to scratch it. You're going to see it. If this has deep scratches, we'll see it in the paint. So we're going to stick with these blue guys for the most of the work. And then I got these guys too. They're the same darn thing as these discs, but they're round. So like we can get in the small spots. And then I also got these. These are like for a Dremel tool, but I'm going to use them in this guy again. And these are going to be so we can get into even smaller areas. So this kit came with pink is supposed to be like a sanding wheel. And then the green is a rubber. And then this is your wool for like polishing. We're definitely not going to be using none of these. And then these brown ones are supposed to be like cowhide. And then these ones are supposed to be like sesame. Whatever that's supposed to mean. But so I'm just gonna, what's gonna end up happening is I'm gonna end up testing these, see which ones scratch the most, which ones scratch the least, but it also takes, like, see this roughness off. Whatever gets closest to whatever this does, that's what we're gonna be using. So I'm gonna get into it. Alright guys, so this is how far we've got so far. We've got half of it pretty much clean, if you can tell. Now it's not perfect. I would love for this to have been perfect, but some of these little creases right here and up in here, they are very hard to get to. Down in here, hard to get to. I gotta hit this spot again, but for the most part half of this is done. Now, like I said, we had these bunch of these guys, and these are alright. I ended up not really using any of these. I used this basically, these ones and this one right here, basically just to like knock the dirt out right here, but that's about it. I didn't really like them, but these, we've used the crap out of these. These are awesome as far as like getting into like all these little spots, but if you can tell, I've only done half the intake and I've used quite a few. I started with the green as the lightest, then went the red, and I'm like, I'm just chewing these things up. But I mean, if there's a better way, like these are perfect if you can find them in a higher grit. I wish I had a higher grit than these because they just go too fast. So if you guys have an easier way to do this or a different tool to use that'll make this easier, let me know in the comments. The more I can learn, the easier this can be, the faster it can be. So that's pretty much what we're doing. We're halfway through. Let's get this thing finished. Alright guys, ready to start shooting the primer. I got all the ports taped up that needed to be taped up. Now we're just going to start shooting the primer. We need to paint the intake and paint the battery tie down. And then we'll clear, when we clear this and this, we'll clear the expansion tank. So here we go. Alright guys, it's all primed. Here it is. This thing took almost like a whole can of freaking primer. This guy's all primed up. This was a pain in the rear. This was not the easiest with all these little nooks and crannies to get in, but it's looking pretty good right now. I got it flipped like this because we're going to paint this and then we're going to flip it up over so it sits down on here. So that way if it messes the paint up, it's on the underneath and not the top. So let's get to it. Alright guys, here we go. We finally got it done. This is the intake right here. It looks good. This thing was a complete pain in the rear to spray paint. I did a sped up where you guys seen me paint some of it, but I spent the rest of yesterday just freaking spraying everything. All these small areas here, down in here. This thing just, it took a lot of paint. So, but it's done. It looks good. We also got the battery tied out. Pretty excited about this. Looks good. And then we did clean this and clear it. All we did was clear the expansion tank because I just want it to stay like this. I think it looks good like this. That's how I like it. So, alright, so let's talk about this, guys. So, last video you seen, we did valve covers, alternator cover, radiator cover. I have now this done, you guys seen, which is the intake, battery tie down, and now the expansion tank. And I forgot to tell you guys, I chose to do the cap in pink. I think it looks cooler like that. So, this is all the motor stuff. That's going to be pink for right now. We got hoses. Hopefully these work. I have another pack. If they don't, I'm going to cut them, make them work. So, we got hoses. This is for your rad support. It would end up laying, I think, something like that on there. Not sure how it's going to work. But it holds down your rads, your radiator. So, pretty excited about them. They're a different color because they came, I couldn't get the exact color. I wasn't going to paint those. I like those the way they are. So, this is everything we're doing to the engine. All we have left to do is the oil pan to paint black, and then there's a couple lines that go on the intake here. Just cause a couple breather lines, but they're like rusted, so I'm gonna get them painted black too. So other than that, we don't have a whole lot more to do to this car. That's gonna be it for this episode. The next episode is gonna be me washing and cleaning and putting together the motor. The engine block, we got some of it cleaned up so far. That video is in progress. Stay tuned for that. If you guys like what we're doing here, just give me a like, a subscribe. I'd appreciate it. If not, that's cool either way. I'm just glad you guys are watching and enjoying the videos. See ya.